Hello, everyone. My name is Corey Braden. I am the principal at Jersey Community High School and would like to welcome all of you to our ninth grade class of 2025 parent orientation. Um, just wanted to say here right off the bat, this is something that we normally do in person and wish that we could be doing that in person at this point, but we simply can't. Our gymnasium um, not allow us to be able to hold quite this many people at this time. Um, I do want to say also that we really look forward to working with your kids. Our current eighth graders at JCHS, we've had a chance to work with them all year long, and we will be welcoming some new students from St. Francis next year, and we will be going over and visiting with the kids in person in just a couple of weeks. A little bit about JCHS. We have a number of adults that work in outside of teaching that will be working with your students. Again, myself, Corey Braden, I am the principal. We have Tom Roth, our assistant principal. Mindy Wolfel is our dean of students. Dan Diamond is our at-risk student coordinator. Dave Canny is our activities director, and we have three guidance counselors, Kim Davis, Julie Gears, and Laura Ross. I believe Julie will be taking you through the majority of this presentation to talk about our agenda, which I'll show you on the next slide. Also give you a chance to find this information after the video is over. You can look at our course description booklet at www.jersey100.org. You can find this information if you click on menu for students, JCHS, and finally guidance. We also have an app, the Jersey CUSD 100 app. You can download that on the Play Store or the App Store. Great source of information. We post quite a bit of we call it live feed, kind of works like Twitter. If you have that app, you will be able to get breaking news, and we also put some regular news stories on that website as well, and you can find those on the app. It really is a great app, and it's pretty handy. Our agenda is, and our guidance counselors are going to talk about these later on in the second half of the presentation. Our physical exam requirements and vaccinations. I talked to you about academic planning, graduation and college requirements, student favorite, driver's education, some tips on high school success, and finally, individual meeting times where you and your student can sit down or Zoom in with a guidance counselor and talk about scheduling. High school is that final transition, kind of scary, but this is the final step to adulthood. The next stop for our kids is post-secondary education, whether that be a 4-year or 2-year college, a vocational facility. We also have a number of kids each year that go on to the military after graduation, or we do have some that finish with their schooling and they get a job after high school. Just want to tell you, it goes by fast. Speaking from experience, it goes by very, very fast. May not seem like it as you're going through it, but it does speed by. A couple highlights I wanted to talk to you about before I turn it over to the guidance counselors is one of the main keys to success is making sure that your student comes to school. In order to encourage them to do that, we have what we call the 10-day rule. You can call your child off of school for 10 days, pretty much any reason that you want to. But after that, you need a doctor's note or you need to give one of the administrators here a call to get that absent excused. Again, we do that to strongly encourage our students to come to school. One of the, if not the number one thing as far as high school success is making sure that you come to school every day. Grades. A lot of our younger students don't realize this, but freshman grades count the same as senior grades. All the grades go on the transcript. They all add up for grade point average. So if you have a student that is taking algebra as a freshman and algebra 3 as a senior, those grades are weighted exactly the same and are of the same importance. Please know that when you're making your students' schedule, that we cannot take specific teacher requests, and that includes lunch. We have a lot of kids that find out what their lunches are going, what time their lunches are going to be in August, doesn't match up with their best friend who has a different lunch hour. Please know that we do not change those. Because we would have a mess. Just to be honest with you, we would have a mess. We also have kids have the opportunity to have open campus where they can leave. Freshman through senior can leave for lunch. There are some requirements though. Got to be passing your classes, no discipline referrals, and no unexcused absences. And we take a look at those at midterms each quarter. So we do 8 grade checks throughout the year. We also take a look at attendance. We also take a look at student behavior, and the vast majority of our kids will have open campus all year long. Pretty unique to JCHS. Another key to success for our high school kids is to get involved. High school is probably, for a lot of people, the greatest time of our lives. We have a wide variety. I'm going to say hundreds of after school athletic events and activities that kids can be a part of, getting involved in clubs, getting involved in our fine arts department, our athletics. We have academic teams. There simply are a ton of activities, and strongly encourage your student to get involved. Hopefully that as we move into next year, we will have kids will be able to come back and enjoy watching their classmates and friends participate in their activity, and just be a part of school. That's what makes high school fun. If you have any questions about this presentation or about next year, please don't hesitate to give us a call up here at the high school. I have the number on a previous slide, 618-498-5521. And as I said in the beginning, we look forward to having an opportunity to work with you and your student over the next 4 years. Quickly, before I end here and turn this over to our guidance department, I know this is going to be a big question. What is school going to look like in August of 2021? To be real honest with you, I don't think anybody is sure what school is going to look like when we come back in the fall. What I can tell you is we are planning for a normal school year. Guidance is scheduling an 8-period day, meaning that kids can take 6 or 7 classes. We are planning for lunches. For those of you that have 8th graders up here, and those of you in the community that know, our students get out of school at 12:30 this year. Main reason for that is we don't have a place to feed the number of students that we have lunch. But as we move into next year, we are planning, and we strongly anticipate that we will be starting a normal schedule in August of 2021. So again, thank you for taking time to take a look at this video. We really look forward to working with you and your student over the next 4 years. And now I will turn this presentation over to our JCHS Guidance Department. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Julie Gears, and I am the school counselor for students H through P at JCHS. I will be presenting today the class of 2025 orientation to high school policies, procedures, classes, schedules, transcripts, and post-secondary plans. Normally, each year we give a student an orientation folder to take home that has important information and paperwork in it. This year, those orientation folders will be sent out digitally to both parents and students via email. They will have all of the same documents as years past, but they will just be digitally sent instead of actually in physical folders. Before we get started talking about what's in the orientation folder, we will talk about some required forms. The state of Illinois requires both a physical and a dental exam for all freshmen. And so this form is included in the digital packet, and we handed those paper forms out to students who are in language arts classes. If you wanted to pick up a paper form, you could stop at the main office and the nurse has those available if you have a remote student. Please make those appointments for physicals or dental exams early, just so you have all the information that you need filled out so that your student can start school on time. We'll start by talking about planning for your academic future. As freshmen, you probably don't know all of the classes that are available to our high school students. So if you wanted to check out, you or your parents wanted to check out the different classes that we offer in high school, you could go to the guidance webpage, and if you can see, the link is listed as part of this presentation. You can find that by going to jersey100.org. If you click on schools and JCHS, students, and then guidance department, you will see course description folder, which has the entire course description booklet that describes all of the different classes that we offer at the high school level. We will not go through all of those courses and explain all of those this afternoon in the orientation, but feel free to take a look at that course description booklet when you have time to get to the guidance webpage and just check the whole thing out. Today, we will talk about two items in particular. The first is a 4-year plan. So not only will we talk to students about their class schedules for freshman year and talk about classes that they may want to take, we'll also sit with freshman students and their parents, and we'll put together a 4-year plan. And that 4-year plan will just be a brainstorming activity. It kind of gives parents and students an idea of all of the different classes that they may take all 4 years. And so really this can change from year to year. We can look back at it if you'd like, or if you change your mind and choose a different career or a different path, we can always alter this anytime that you'd like whenever you register from year to year. So this is just going to give you a good idea of the different classes that you have to take all 4 years. The most important paper of the day will be the menu sheet, and this sheet kind of is what we use to register our freshmen for the beginning of the school year. And so if you look at the top of the page, you'll see that we're asking for a birth date from all of our students, and that helps us provides us for information about how students are enrolled in driver's ed. And so I'll explain that a little bit later, because I know that that's one of the most important things that students want to know whenever they come to this orientation. The common question is, well, if my birthday is this day, when will I take driver's ed? We'll go through all of that near the end of the presentation. So when we finish today, you should know exactly where you're going to end up in terms of driver's ed. We're also going to ask students about their college and career plans, and we know that they probably haven't decided exactly what they want to do once they finish high school in terms of college or career plan, but this kind of gives both of us an idea of maybe where to direct them, especially on the 4-year plan or as part of the menu sheet. And so just breaking down the menu sheet a little bit, if you notice that there is an early bird that's optional, the only early bird class really that freshmen can take is a PE strength class, and that would be freshmen that are involved in activities, sports or activities that would require that type of class. And so we can give you more information if you're a freshman involved in an activity and you want to take a PE strength class as an early bird. When you sign up, you'll have an appointment with your counselor as a 20-minute appointment, where you'll kind of talk about the different classes, and we can explain that early bird option to you and your parents at that time. But mainly, you will be recommended for English, math, and science classes. So your 8th grade teachers will give recommendations. We'll also take a look at some of your standardized tests, the scores that you received, and then your attendance and your effort provided in those classes. The teachers will make a determination as to what's best for you. And most of you already know where you are placed currently, and that most likely will be your placement for freshman year. So not only do students take English, math, and science, students also, as freshmen, take world history. There is a world history option or an honors world history option. The honors world history would probably be dependent on where you were placed in English, but of course that is not have to exactly go that way. If you are super interested in social studies, world history, and you really want to take that honors class because you want a more rigorous course, then certainly you can sign up for that class. Students will also be placed in driver's ed, and I'll explain how that process works, but mainly opposite of driver's ed is a PE course that will be available to students. And then freshmen will have two options for electives. And those electives are listed at the bottom of the screen. Whoops, I need to go backwards. How about that? Those electives are listed here at the bottom of the screen. And so English, math, and science will be recommended by your instructors, but then freshmen have some options: intro to design, art, intro to agriculture. Freshman students can take a study hall. They can take an Adobe Photoshop or Illustrator course. They can take PE. There's some music courses that are listed: music appreciation, piano lab, band, choir. And then industrial courses. There is an industrial orientation course that a lot of freshmen take that is a quarter of woods, quarter of auto, quarter of drafting, and a quarter of machining. And that class is exclusive to freshman students. And so if you're interested in any of those industrial type courses, then that's a good seminar course for freshmen to take. But in general, you'll see this as part of the digital folder, and students will receive this in their language arts class. And so you'll have time to take a look at those course descriptions and decide which two elective courses you'd like to take. We'd also like for students to choose alternates. Now, I will say that most freshman classes, they usually come out just the way you've chosen them. We don't usually have to resort to putting students in alternatives, but sometimes we do, because just certain classes won't fit together the way that they need to according to the master schedule. So it's a good idea to put some alternates in these blanks. You may or may not get them. Probably you'll get exactly what you ask for, but just in general, just in case we need a backup class. So this is the menu sheet, and this is basically how we'll register you. When you make your appointment, you and your parents make your appointment to talk to guidance counselors, we'll have one of these forms and we'll fill it out with you, and we'll answer any questions that you have at that time. Now, that is the process to where you get signed up for classes. Now, what you need to understand is that in 8th grade, your classes, well, they count for 8th grade, and your classes up until 8th grade you have as part of your permanent record, and each quarter you get grades. Well, high school is a little bit different. You have to have 22 credits to graduate high school. And so we have some requirements. You don't just get 22 credits to graduate. You have to have requirements such as English, math, science. And for English has a requirement of 4 credits. This is also a minimum admission requirement for a 4-year college. So not only does JCHS require 4 credits, the state of Illinois requires 4 credits, and then also that's the minimum admission requirement to a 4-year college. So you'll have to get 4 credits of English to graduate from high school. Another academic requirement is math credits. You have to have 3 math credits. According to the state of Illinois, you have to have 3 math credits, and one of those credits must be algebra and another is geometry. The minimum admission requirement for a 4-year college is 3 math credits. So it's the same as what's required to graduate from high school in the state of Illinois and JCHS. We just need to make sure that you get an algebra and a geometry. Of course, there's more difficult classes depending on the path that you take beyond algebra and geometry. So 3 math credits are required for graduation. 2 science credits are required to graduate from JCHS. But if you're planning on going to a 4-year college, then you need to get 3 credits of science. We have a ton of science electives, so you will take science as a freshman and a sophomore. When you're a freshman, you'll take either life science or biology. And then when you're a sophomore, you'll have 3 choices: earth science, physical science, or chemistry. When you become a junior and senior, you'll want to try to get that third lab science if you're planning on going to a four-year college. But if you're planning to go to Lewis and Clark or a technical school or just graduate from high school, you'll need 2 credits of science, and you'll get those your freshman and sophomore year. Social studies, there is a requirement of 3 credits. So in 9th grade, you will take world history. In 11th grade, you will take U.S. history, United States history. This is a requirement by the state of Illinois. In 12th grade, you will take government. That is a semester course. And then you will either take a law for living or economics course. This is your civics requirement. There is a civics requirement by the state of Illinois, and we consider our civics class either law for living or economics. Now, a minimum admission requirement for a four-year college is 3 credits. And so you will get that by taking the world history as a freshman, and then U.S. history as a junior, and then government and law for living as a 12th grader. You have other social studies options that you can take along the way. You can take a geography class, current events, a psychology class. So you're not just limited to the ones that are listed on this slide. In addition to the others that I've mentioned, academic requirements include a half a credit of health. This is required by the state of Illinois and JCHS. This is normally and most often taken sophomore year. We have PE credits that are necessary for graduation. The state of Illinois says that every student must be in a PE class each day, and so a PE credit is required for graduation. Now, fine arts credits, this is what's required for most four-year college admissions. So fine arts, we need to talk about the difference between 2 years of a consecutive language, a foreign language, which is Spanish, or just 2 credits of fine arts. So some four-year colleges, most four-year colleges require that students have 2 credits of a fine arts. So this can come in the form of band, choir, music. But if your student does not participate in band, choir, or music, you can get the fine arts credits by taking 2 consecutive years of Spanish. And that is the language that we offer at JCHS. If your student is not planning on going to a four-year college or planning to go to a community college to begin with, the 2 credits of fine arts are not necessary. The 2 credits of fine arts are only necessary for entrance into a 4-year college. So in total, I'm going to move myself so that you can see. In total, the number of credits required for graduation is 22, 4 in English, 3 in math, 2 in science, 1 in U.S. history, a half government, a half in law or economics, a half in health, 1 credit of PE, and then you'll have 9.5 credits of electives. That will get you to 22 credits to graduate from high school. This is a change. In the past, the credits required to graduate were 24. It has been reduced to 22. So determining class level, I'm going to move myself again. So determining class level, we have freshman year 0 to 4.5 credits. So freshmen wear a green lanyard. That's why this bar is in green, because freshmen wear green lanyards. And those freshmen are classified by the number of credits, which is 0 to 4.5. To become a sophomore, which is a yellow lanyard, you need 5 to 9 credits. And then to be a junior, you have to have 9.5 to 14.5. And then a senior is 15. This should say 22 plus, but it says 24 plus because we used to have 24 credits required. But you get the picture. If you have 15 credits or more, you got to get to 22 to graduate. And some students end up with 30 credits to graduate. It's just you have to get to that 22 to graduate. So this is an example of the way credits work and how freshmen move to be sophomores. This is an example of a high school transcript of a student, which I have doctored up a little bit just to help us make the point. This student has taken a study hall and has passed all the rest of the classes that he has taken. And so driver's education in the past is not a credit bearing course. It was this year because of COVID and the way we had block scheduling, but I anticipate that it will be a non credit course in the future. However, things always change, so don't quote me on that. But right now, it probably is going to go back to being a non credit course unless I'm told different, which could happen. But in the past, except for this school year, it has been a non credit course. So this student has taken English. And if you remember last year, if you had a high school student, we could only give pass or fail grades. And so this student has passed all of the second semester classes. And so we did not calculate GPA, we only added credits. And so that's why all of these grades are P for pass. But first semester, this student received a B in English, a C in Spanish, a D in algebra concepts, an A in PE, a C in life science, and it looks like a B in world history. And so when you count the credits, each class counts for a half. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a half credits. And so this person gets to be promoted to a sophomore because you need 5 or more credits. So this is an example of a student who has passed freshman year and gets to be promoted to become a sophomore. Now here is an example, if I can get to it, of a student who is going to be retained. And so 2 classes are failed in the 9th grade. This example is a student who has taken a study hall and has failed 2 classes. And so if you look at the transcript, which again, I have doctored up a little bit, this student had passed semester 1 English, but failed semester 2. And of course, this is an example of a transcript in a non-COVID year, which hopefully there are no more COVID years. This student has grades for second semester, so that it was a year previous to last spring when everyone received either a pass or a fail grade. So back to the transcript story. So this student has a D in English 1 applied and then failed second semester. This student took industrial orientation, and if you notice here, the industrial orientation classes are only worth a quarter of a credit. These are the only classes that we offer that are worth a quarter of a credit. And so I basically bundled 2 grades together to show you that this is a half a credit, this is a half a credit. And then this student passed first semester of algebra concepts and failed second semester, passed a semester of PE, passed life science, and passed world history. Now, if we count the credits, and if I did math right, which is sometimes questionable, even though I majored in math. So if we count the credits, we can see that we have 1 credit with the C and D, 2, then 3, then 4, then a half with the D. So this student has only earned 4.5 credits. This student took a study hall and then by failing 2 semester courses only has 4.5 credits. And so only getting to 4.5, failing just 2 semester classes, that student is retained in the 9th grade. I guess the point of my story is that if you take a study hall, you can only fail 1 semester of 1 class and still be promoted unless you were to go to summer school or take in a correspondence course of some sort. So you really don't have that many opportunities if you take a study hall to fail classes, because you will be retained if you do fail classes and take a study hall. And I know that sounds a little counterproductive, I guess is the word. If you take a study hall, you should have time to work on the classes and you should not be failing those classes. But when you do fail the classes and take a study hall, then you have the chance of being retained if you do fail those classes. So what happens if a student is retained in the 9th grade? They have to wear a green lanyard again in their second year. They'll be assigned on-campus lunch restriction, and they'll have no room to take a study hall, and they'll have to take, in this case, 2 English classes, and then in this case also repeat algebra concepts. So the student who is retained, who failed these particular classes, English and algebra concepts, they will be taking some sophomore classes, but they will still be wearing a green lanyard because they don't have the 5 credits necessary to become a sophomore. So if you have questions about the way credits work in terms of retentions or in terms of promotions, when you have your meeting with your counselor, please feel free to ask us questions. I know this is a quick overview, and so if you do have those questions, just let us know. Driver's education is the slide that I know most of you have been waiting for. So how do you get into driver's education? This is how students are placed, and this is also a requirement of the state of Illinois. The state of Illinois says that you have to have passed 8 classes in the last 2 semesters. The state of Illinois also says you have to be 15 years old before or during the book phase. So if you're 14 and you're going to be 14 the entire quarter that you want to take driver's ed, you can't be enrolled unless you're going to turn 15 during that quarter. So you have to pass 8 classes. You have to either be 15 before you start the class or while you're taking the class, and that equals enrollment in driver's education. And so we will count up those 8 classes from your 8th grade coursework. And so it's really important that you make sure that you work your hardest to pass all your classes in 8th grade so that you can pass those 8 classes to get a chance to take driver's ed as a freshman, or some kids have to take it their sophomore year, first quarter. So here's state of Illinois driver's education requirements. You have to have a driver's permit, which you will get during your driver's education course that you take with Mr. Brown. You have to have your permit for 9 months before your 16th birthday, or just you have to have your permit for 9 months before you can get your license, no matter what your age. In high school, you have to take a minimum of 50 hours driving experience with a parent, and 10 of those have to be at night. You do 6 hours of driving instruction with the driver's ed instructor, which would be one of our teachers here. And then you have to pass the written and the driving test and do all of those things, and you can go to the DMV and get your driver's license at age 16, hopefully. So that's kind of what's required. And you can come back to this slide if you need some additional information, or you can ask us or Mr. Brown about the requirements to get into driver's ed. Most of the time, our students get into driver's ed when they turn 15, or some kids, especially first and second quarter driver's ed students, are already 15 before they take the driver's ed course. So some helpful tips for our high school freshmen, and that is to be present. You just never know what you might miss. I was on kind of a memes kick, and so I thought they were still funny this year, so I included them. So make sure that you're here, come to school each day. It's difficult to learn the material, and we've learned that especially during COVID, that when you're out or you're working remotely, it is real difficult to keep caught up on what's going on in your classes. So it's just so important that you come to school every single day. Also, it's important that now you're in high school, and so you need to learn how to balance your time, your classes, your activities. Even though you were in this building last year, or maybe you were at St. Francis Holy Ghost, you it's a little bit different when you're in 8th grade. There's just so much more going on in high school. Don't procrastinate for sure. Make sure that you have time to do your homework and that you plan things out a little bit. I know that's not easy. I'm a procrastinator myself, but it's very difficult and very stressful when you procrastinate your work until the very last minute. So try to plan your classes, time, activities, social time, so that you have a good balance of all the things that you're doing in your life. We want you to get involved. We want you to participate in at least 1 or 2 sports activities or clubs. So included in this digital registration folder, there's an activities form for all of our students, and it's a front and back page. It's a 2-page list of all the activities that are available at our school. And hopefully next year, it's not going to be similar to this year or last year where we weren't able to do all of the activities or offer all of the same things that we wanted to in the past. Hopefully we'll be able to have all those activities that are listed on the activity sheet. So check that out as part of your digital portfolio. And when you check out the activity sheet, you'll see that there are email contacts for the different activity sponsors. So you can reach out to them via email right now if you want, and you can get information on how to get involved in those different activities. So never be scared to ask for help. I know that it's hard, and I know that we don't know a lot of the 8th graders as guidance counselors, especially those of you that are remote. We'll come to talk to you, and we'll get to know you a little bit better in your 8th grade language arts classes. But stop by our office. It's not only us, stop by and talk to any of your teachers. Never be scared to come and ask for help. That's what we're here for. We want to help you. And so stop by our office. It's, no pressure, just have a seat. And, if you just need to sit here and hang out and just chill, then that's totally fine. But we want to help you. Let me help you, as Jerry Maguire would say. Maybe your parents know that. Maybe you probably don't. But anyway, never be scared. Always ask us for help if you need it. And that includes the parents too. Reach out to us via email, phone. Anytime you need something, we're here to help for sure. Keep calm and get organized. The best thing to do is stay organized. Not only don't procrastinate, definitely try to stay organized. You have a lot going on when you get in high school, and you're in a lot of classes in 8th grade, but you're in more difficult, more rigorous classes when you're in high school. And so you're going to have a lot of things going on, and you're really going to need to do some planning to make sure that you can stay organized. And maybe you need to use your Google Calendar. For me, I need to write a list, but whatever helps you be successful in terms of getting organized, that's what you need to utilize from the very first day of school. Also, it's important to make good choices. There's a lot of tough decisions and tough situations that you have to be in high school. Just make good choices. Be honest and accountable for your actions. If you make a mistake, you need to own up to it. We all do. And so we want the best for you, and we want you to just make good choices. And, like I said, we're here to help. If you have questions, need to see us, need to explain something, just come on in and see us anytime. And that includes the counselors, your teachers. Everybody's here to help. If you need help, definitely come and let us know, and we'll try to do everything we can to help you out. So there's some dates of importance that are coming up. Like I said, you may have already received an email that has the digital folder and has some of this information in it. But we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. Most years we meet with our 8th grade students and their parents in person. This year we're going to try something new. So hopefully this is all going to work out perfectly. We're going to try some Zoom meetings. And so we're going to try to schedule our meetings in 15-minute segments. And so what will happen is Mr. Diamond will send out information on signing up for a Zoom session. I believe that we're going to use Sign Up Genius. And so there'll be time slots. And if you notice, we have listed the different times that will be available for 15-minute meetings. And so you can sign up for those meetings, and then we'll send you a Zoom link whenever we send out the information. And I'm not sure exactly how it's going to go out. Mr. Diamond has more information on that, but he will definitely get an email out to everyone once you sign up. and you'll be sent a link in the email, and maybe you've already been sent the link as part of this digital folder. You'll be sent a link so that you can sign up for an appointment that works out in one of these different time slots for you. And then at some point, you'll also be given the Zoom link for your counselor. The way it's going to work is that usually we see anybody in whatever order they come into the office when it's in person. So I may see somebody that maybe is on Mrs. Ross or Mrs. Davis's caseload. This year, we're going to see our own students. So you will be scheduling an appointment with your counselor. A through G is going to be with Mrs. Davis. H through P will be with me, Mrs. Gears, and Q through Z will be with Mrs. Ross. And so you'll sign up, you'll see us, we'll have 15 minutes to talk, and we'll kind of have to keep a time limit going because we'll have the meetings back to back, and because there's Zoom, we'll have people in a virtual waiting room waiting for their next appointment. And so, like I said, this is the first time we're doing it, so we'll have to try to get through some of the growing pains with that, but hopefully it'll all work out. We think that's a good way to get with parents and to be able to talk to everybody in a pretty, healthy environment, I guess. So if you want to take a look at a couple other things, you can see that on Wednesday and Thursday, April 7th and 8th, we'll be talking to 8th grade students, periods 1 through 6. I think that Mr. Diamond is going to try to send out this presentation on Tuesday, April 6th, or sometime during that day. So the student orientation, like I said, will be the language arts classes, periods 1 through 6. We'll be coming to St. Francis Gym on Friday, April 9th, from 8:30 to 9:30, I believe. And then you will schedule appointments in these time slots for our day and evening registration, and that will be via Zoom. And like I had explained before, you will register with your actual counselor, Mrs. Davis, A through G, myself, Mrs. Gears, H through P, and Mrs. Ross, Q through Z. If you have some technical difficulties and can't get things worked out, we know that happens. Well, it happens to us all the time. And so you can give Mrs. Bach a call at 498-5521, extension 71201, and she can get you to somebody who can help you get an appointment together, and maybe we can sign you up digitally from over the phone. And so if you have any questions, please feel free to call the school, ask for your counselor or Mrs. Bach, Mr. Diamond. Any of us will be able to, preferably your counselor, just so that we spread out the phone calls. But if you need any assistance, any of us can help you at any time. And of course, if you have any questions, call us about anything in general, but we will be going over most of the registration information with you during your 15-minute meeting with your guidance counselor. And then if we need to extend that conversation, we can do that as well at a different time. So thank you very much for listening. Hopefully you have been informed of the great things that are going on and that are coming up for your freshmen. So I will sign off and thank you again.